The radio crackled with panic. 6 enemy fighter jets inbound. General Peterson's aircraft is down. But Captain Sophia, Viper, Hayes wasn't running. She was about to prove that sometimes one pilot can outfight an entire enemy squadron while saving a captured general. Meet Captain Sophia Hayes, 30 years old. Auburn hair always pulled back in regulation style, steel blue eyes that had logged over 2,500 combat flight hours in the most contested airspace on Earth. For 5 years, she had piloted F-16 Fighting Falcons for the 388th Fighter Wing, but to most of her colleagues, she was still just the female pilot who happened to be exceptionally skilled. They acknowledged her abilities, but few truly believed she could handle the most dangerous solo missions that defined elite fighter pilots. Sophia's path to the cockpit had been anything but conventional. The daughter of Admiral William Thunder Hayes, one of the Navy's most decorated aviators, she had grown up surrounded by aviation excellence. But unlike other military children who followed expected paths, Sophia had fought for every opportunity in a profession that still questioned whether women belonged in combat aircraft. Her father had been initially skeptical when Sophia announced her intention to become a fighter pilot. "Baby girl," he had said during one of their difficult conversations, "flying fighters isn't just about skill. It's about split-second decisions in life or death situations. The physical and psychological demands are." "What, Dad?" Sophia had interrupted. "Too much for a woman. Because my test scores, my flight evaluations, and my tactical knowledge suggest otherwise." Admiral Hayes had eventually become her strongest supporter, but only after Sophia proved herself repeatedly in scenarios where other pilots failed. Her training scores weren't just exceptional. They demonstrated innovative tactical thinking that impressed even veteran instructors who had been teaching fighter combat for decades. Sophia's childhood had been uniquely shaped by aviation culture. While other military children moved from base to base, experiencing standard military life, she had grown up in the cockpits of naval aircraft, learning systems and procedures before she could properly drive a car. Her father had taught her that aviation wasn't just about flying. It was about understanding the complete tactical environment and making decisions that others couldn't anticipate. Every summer during her teenage years had been spent at aviation camps and flight schools where she competed against the sons of other military officers. She consistently outperformed male cadets who assumed her presence was due to political correctness rather than genuine ability. These early experiences taught her that proving herself wasn't a one-time event. It was a continuous process that would define her entire career. At the Naval Academy, Sophia had graduated second in her class with a degree in aerospace engineering, specializing in advanced flight dynamics and tactical systems. Her thesis on innovative air-to-air combat techniques had been classified and incorporated into pilot training programs. But despite her academic excellence, she still faced instructors who questioned whether she had the killer instinct required for combat aviation. During flight training, Sophia had broken several records for precision flying and tactical innovation. Her instructors noted that she didn't just learn procedures. She understood the underlying principles and found ways to improve them. Her approach to combat scenarios was so unconventional that other students studied her techniques to understand how she achieved superior results. Sophia had earned her call sign, Viper, during her first deployment to the Middle East when she single-handedly destroyed an enemy surface-to-air missile site that had been threatening coalition aircraft. Her approach had been so unexpected, so tactically brilliant that enemy forces never realized they were under attack until their entire air defense network was in flames. Hayes doesn't just fly her F-16, one squadron commander had written in an evaluation. She thinks 3 moves ahead of everyone else in the sky. Her tactical innovations are changing how we approach air-to-air combat. The mission that earned her the Viper call sign had been particularly challenging. Intelligence reports indicated that enemy forces had deployed advanced surface-to-air missile systems that were downing coalition aircraft with alarming frequency. Standard suppression techniques had failed and the enemy air defense network was effectively denying airspace to friendly forces. Sophia had volunteered for a solo mission that other pilots considered suicidal, penetrating the heart of enemy air defenses to eliminate their command and control systems. Her approach had been revolutionary. Instead of trying to avoid the missile sites, she had used them against each other, triggering engagement sequences that caused the enemy systems to attack each other while she eliminated their radar guidance systems. But despite her proven capabilities, Sophia still faced skepticism from commanders who assigned her to appropriate missions rather than the high-risk operations that built legendary careers. She flew close air support, interdiction missions, and defensive patrols, while male pilots with inferior records received the assignments that mattered. The discrimination wasn't always overt, but it was persistent. Mission assignments that should have gone to the most qualified pilot were often given to men who commanders felt were better suited for dangerous operations. Sophia's tactical innovations were studied and implemented, but the credit often went to male officers who had the confidence to present her ideas as their own. General Marcus Peterson was everything Sophia aspired to become, a warrior leader who had earned respect through decades of exceptional service. At 58 years old, he commanded the entire theater of operations, making strategic decisions that affected thousands of soldiers and airmen. Peterson was also one of the few senior officers who judged pilots by their performance rather than their gender. Hayes is one of the finest tactical minds I've encountered, he had told the Pentagon during discussions about promoting more women to combat roles. Her innovations in air-to-air tactics are being studied by fighter pilots worldwide. Gender is irrelevant when lives are on the line. Peterson had personally intervened to ensure that Sophia received assignments commensurate with her abilities. Under his command, she had been given increasingly challenging missions that showcased her capabilities and built the combat record that male pilots took for granted. His mentorship had been crucial in developing her confidence and tactical expertise. The mission that would define both their careers started as routine reconnaissance. Peterson was conducting a forward command inspection, flying in a modified C-130 transport to visit remote bases near the Syrian border. Sophia was assigned as escort, leading a four-ship formation of F-16s providing air cover for the general's aircraft. The intelligence briefing had been standard: minimal enemy air activity, low-threat environment, expected flight time of 2 hours. But intelligence is never perfect, and routine missions have a way of becoming disasters when the enemy decides to change the rules. The briefing had been conducted by Colonel Davis, the intelligence officer who had been tracking enemy air movements for 6 months. His assessment was based on patterns that suggested enemy fighter aircraft were being conserved for defensive operations rather than offensive strikes. Recent reconnaissance flights had encountered minimal resistance, leading to the conclusion that enemy air capabilities had been significantly degraded. But what the intelligence community didn't know was that enemy forces had been deliberately creating false patterns, conserving their aircraft for a coordinated strike against high-value coalition targets. Peterson's inspection flight represented exactly the kind of opportunity they had been waiting for, a chance to eliminate senior American leadership while demonstrating their continued ability to challenge coalition air superiority. At 14:30 hours, Sophia's radar detected multiple contacts approaching from the northeast. 6 aircraft in attack formation, moving fast and showing no response to radio challenges. The enemy had somehow positioned a full fighter squadron exactly where Peterson's aircraft would be most vulnerable. Viper lead, this is Thunder Base. The AWACS controller's voice carried urgent concern. We're showing 6 bandits bearing 045, distance 40 miles, and closing. Recommend immediate evasive action. Sophia looked at her tactical display, quickly assessing the situation that was developing. Peterson's C-130 was a sitting duck, a slow, lumbering transport aircraft with no defensive capabilities against modern fighter jets. Her own formation was outnumbered and outpositioned, caught escorting a high-value target through airspace that had suddenly become a killing field. Thunder Base, Viper led, what's our backup? How long until additional support arrives? Viper lead, nearest friendlies are 20 minutes out. You're on your own. 20 minutes might as well have been 20 hours. The enemy fighters would reach Peterson's aircraft in less than 5 minutes, and Sophia's formation couldn't protect a transport aircraft against 6 dedicated attackers. That's when Sophia made the decision that would either save a general or cost her everything. Viper 2 through 4, escort Thunder home to safety. I'll delay the bandits. Viper lead, that's suicide. You can't engage 6 fighters alone. Viper 2, I'm not planning to engage them. I'm planning to destroy them. Sophia broke away from the formation, climbing to 25,000 feet and positioning herself between the enemy fighters and Peterson's escape route. Her F-16 carried 6 AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles and 2 AIM-9 Sidewinders. Enough firepower to engage multiple targets, but only if she used them with perfect tactical precision. The enemy formation was confident, flying in textbook attack formation toward what they believed was a helpless transport aircraft with minimal escort. They had no idea they were about to face a pilot who had revolutionized air-to-air tactics through innovations that other fighter pilots considered impossible. Sophia's first advantage was psychological. The enemy pilots expected to encounter defensive flying from an outnumbered escort. Instead, they found themselves facing an aggressive attack that violated everything they knew about conventional fighter tactics. Her father's lessons echoed in her memory. When you're outnumbered, the only advantage you have is doing something the enemy doesn't expect. Make them fight your battle, not theirs. Her first AMRAAM missile launched from maximum range, targeting the enemy formation leader. But instead of waiting to see results, Sophia immediately maneuvered for her second shot, using techniques her father had taught her about engaging multiple threats in rapid succession. The enemy formation leader never saw the missile that killed him. One moment, he was leading an attack on a defenseless transport aircraft. The next moment, his aircraft was disintegrating in a fireball that scattered debris across the Syrian sky. "Lead us down," screamed another enemy pilot. Where did that missile come from? Sophia's second missile was already in the air, tracking toward the enemy's second in command. Her tactical approach was simple but devastatingly effective. Eliminate the enemy's command structure first, then systematically destroy the remaining threats while they tried to figure out what was happening. The second kill came 30 seconds after the first. Sophia had positioned herself to exploit gaps in the enemy formation that they didn't even know existed, launching missiles from angles that their defensive systems could encounter. This is impossible. The surviving enemy pilots were beginning to panic. How is one pilot destroying our entire formation? Sophia's laugh crackled through the radio frequency the enemy was using. Gentlemen, you just picked a fight with the wrong pilot. The psychological warfare was as important as the kinetic effects. Sophia was fighting enemy pilots who had never faced someone who attacked with such aggressive confidence while outnumbered. Their training told them that numerical superiority guaranteed victory. But Sophia was systematically dismantling their assumptions along with their aircraft. The third and fourth kills came within seconds of each other. Sophia had learned to think in 3 dimensions, using altitude and energy management to position herself for shots that other pilots couldn't imagine. Her missiles struck enemy aircraft that thought they were safely positioned, turning confident attackers into burning wreckage. By now, the 2 surviving enemy pilots were flying defensively, trying to escape from a tactical situation they couldn't understand. They had started the engagement with overwhelming numerical superiority against a single female pilot. Now they were running for their lives from someone who was hunting them with deadly precision. Sophia's 5th missile eliminated the pilot who was trying to flee toward friendly airspace. She tracked his escape route, anticipated his evasive maneuvers, and intercepted him with a shot that demonstrated why she was considered one of the most innovative tactical minds in military aviation. The last enemy pilot made a desperate radio call, requesting immediate backup. "American pilot has destroyed our entire squadron. Need assistance." Sophia's response was broadcast on the same frequency. "Tell your backup they're welcome to try. I've got 2 missiles left and all day to use them." The final enemy pilot chose discretion over valor, disappearing toward the horizon at maximum speed. Sophia could have pursued, but her mission wasn't to rack up kills. It was to protect General Peterson and ensure his safe extraction. Thunder Base, this is Viper lead. Bandit threat eliminated. 5 confirmed kills, 1 probable that fled the area, rejoining Thunder home for escort to safety. The radio silence that followed lasted almost a minute. Finally, the AWACS controller's voice came back filled with awe and disbelief. "Viper lead, did you just single-handedly destroy an enemy fighter squadron?" "Confirmed, Thunder Base. Just doing my job." But the mission was far from over. As Sophia rejoined Peterson's formation, her radar detected new threats. Enemy surface-to-air missile sites that had been activated in response to the air battle. Worse, Peterson's C-130 was showing signs of battle damage from enemy missiles that had been fired before Sophia eliminated the fighter threat. "Viper lead, this is Thunder home." Peterson's voice carried stress and admiration in equal measure. "We took some hits from there. Initial attack, hydraulic problems, navigation systems down. We're going to have to make an emergency landing." Sophia looked at her tactical display, identifying the only possible landing site within range, a remote airstrip deep in contested territory. But intelligence reports indicated the area was crawling with enemy ground forces who would capture or kill anyone who landed there. "Thunder home, that airstrip is in enemy hands. Landing there is suicide. Viper lead, we don't have a choice. It's either land there or crash in the mountains." Sophia made her second impossible decision of the day. "Thunder home, proceed to emergency landing. I'll clear the airstrip and provide cover." What followed was the most audacious close air support mission in modern aviation history. Sophia conducted a one-woman air campaign against enemy ground forces that had occupied the airstrip, using her remaining missiles and cannon fire to systematically destroy defensive positions. The enemy ground forces had positioned themselves to repel conventional rescue attempts with heavy weapons and fortified positions covering all approaches to the airstrip. But they had never faced a single F-16 pilot who treated close air support as a precision art form. Sophia's attacks were surgical in their accuracy. She eliminated enemy weapons positions with cannon fire that was so precise she could destroy equipment while leaving personnel areas intact. Her goal wasn't maximum casualties. It was tactical dominance that would allow Peterson's aircraft to land safely. But as Peterson's damaged aircraft touched down, enemy forces swarmed the landing site. The general's security team fought valiantly, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Within minutes, Sophia watched through her targeting pod as Peterson was captured by enemy soldiers who had survived her aerial assault. "Viper lead, this is Viper 2. Her wingman's voice carried desperation. "General Peterson has been captured. Enemy forces are moving him away from the airstrip." Sophia tracked the enemy convoy through her sensors, watching as they transported one of America's most important military leaders toward a fate that could compromise national security. Standard protocol demanded that she report the capture and wait for a rescue mission that might take days to organize. Instead, Sophia chose to rewrite the rules. "Viper 2, RTB and report the situation. I'm going after him." "Sophia, that's impossible. You can't conduct a ground rescue mission in an F-16. Watch me." What Sophia accomplished over the next 2 hours redefined what fighter aircraft could achieve in unconventional warfare. Using her F-16 as both reconnaissance platform and precision strike weapon, she tracked the enemy convoy through mountainous terrain that should have provided perfect concealment. Her first challenge was intelligence gathering. Without ground forces or satellite support, Sophia had to locate Peterson using only her aircraft sensors and tactical knowledge gained from studying enemy behavior patterns. She flew low-level reconnaissance missions that brought her within range of enemy air defenses, mapping their positions and identifying weaknesses. The enemy convoy was moving toward a fortified compound where Peterson would be interrogated and possibly executed. Sophia had perhaps an hour before they reached their destination, after which rescue would become impossible. Her tactical solution was as innovative as it was dangerous. Instead of attempting a conventional rescue operation, Sophia decided to turn the enemy's own tactics against them. She would make them believe they were under attack by a much larger force, creating chaos and confusion that would give Peterson the opportunity to escape. The first phase involved psychological warfare. Sophia conducted high-speed, low-altitude passes over the convoy, using the sonic booms from her aircraft to simulate incoming missile attacks. The psychological impact was immediate. Enemy soldiers dove for cover, convinced they were under bombardment by unseen aircraft. During the confusion, Sophia used precision cannon fire to disable the convoy vehicles without harming Peterson. Each burst was calculated to create maximum disruption while minimizing the risk to the captured general. Her marksmanship was so precise that she could disable vehicle engines while leaving passenger compartments intact. The second phase required Sophia to land her F-16 on a mountain road, something that fighter pilots insisted was impossible. But Sophia had studied emergency landing procedures that other pilots considered too dangerous to attempt. She found a straight section of road that was barely long enough for her aircraft and executed a landing that violated every safety regulation in military aviation. With her aircraft serving as both transportation and weapons platform, Sophia conducted a one-woman ground assault on the enemy position where Peterson was being held. Using her aircraft's cannon and the element of complete surprise, she eliminated the guards and extracted the general in an operation that lasted less than 10 minutes. The takeoff was even more dangerous than the landing. With Peterson secured in the aircraft's maintenance compartment, a space never designed for passengers, Sophia coaxed her overloaded F-16 into the air using techniques that pushed both aircraft and pilot beyond their design limits. The flight back to friendly territory was a masterpiece of tactical flying. Enemy forces had been alerted to the rescue and Sophia had to evade surface-to-air missiles and fighter aircraft while flying an aircraft that was never designed for passenger transport. When Sophia's F-16 touched down at the main air base 3 hours after the mission began, she had accomplished something unprecedented in military aviation, a single-pilot air-to-ground rescue mission that saved one of America's most important military leaders. General Peterson was the first person to greet her as she shut down her engines. His face showed exhaustion from captivity, but his eyes held something Sophia had rarely seen from senior officers, complete respect and admiration. "Captain Hayes," he said simply, "what you accomplished today was extraordinary. You didn't just save my life. You demonstrated tactical innovation that will change how we think about air power." The base commander, Colonel Martinez, approached with an expression that mixed amazement with disbelief. "Hayes, in 30 years of military aviation, I've never seen anything like what you just accomplished. 5 enemy fighters shot down, a ground rescue mission conducted with an F-16, and a general extracted from enemy captivity. This is going to rewrite the textbooks." Sophia removed her helmet, revealing auburn hair damp with sweat and blue eyes bright with the satisfaction of mission accomplished. "Sir, General Peterson would have done the same for any of us. I just happened to be in the right place with the right aircraft." Peterson shook his head firmly. "Captain, what you did today went far beyond duty or training. You improvised solutions to impossible problems and executed them with precision that saved American lives." The after-action reports from Sophia's mission became classified studies examined by air forces worldwide. Her tactical innovations were analyzed, her techniques were incorporated into advanced pilot training, and her mission became the foundation for new doctrine about single-pilot operations in contested environments. 6 months later, Captain Sophia Hayes was promoted to major and offered command of the Air Force's most elite fighter squadron. But more importantly, she never again heard anyone question whether women could handle the most dangerous combat missions. General Peterson became her strongest advocate, frequently telling military leaders, "If you want to understand what innovation and courage look like in modern warfare, study what Hayes accomplished that day." She didn't just follow procedures, she invented new ones when the situation demanded it. Today, Colonel Sophia Viper Hayes commands the Air Force's premier fighter training program, teaching the next generation of pilots that the most important weapon in any aircraft is the mind behind the controls. Her students learn not just how to fly fighters, but how to think beyond conventional limitations when American lives are on the line. Have you ever been in a situation where everyone said something was impossible only to prove that the limitation was in their imagination rather than reality? Sophia's story reminds us that the most dangerous opponents are often the ones who refuse to accept that certain things can't be done. The enemy pilots who faced her that day expected to encounter standard defensive tactics from an outnumbered escort. Instead, they found themselves outfought and outthought by someone who had studied their weaknesses and exploited them with devastating precision. If you believe that true excellence comes from pushing beyond accepted limitations, share this story. Because somewhere someone is being told their goals are impossible, not knowing they're about to prove that impossible is just another word for hasn't been done yet. Sophia Hayes didn't just survive enemy fighter jets and rescue a captured general. She redefined what one pilot could accomplish when courage, skill, and innovation came together in the crucible of combat.